There was a very good article written in the New York Post about Wuhan, China, and the release of the COVID virus from the laboratory by a Bruce Golding. Very good. The title of it is, It Had to Be Wu. So I'm saying that this title is It Had to Be Wu, Wuhan, to you. Daryl Guberman, quality expert, explains. Yes, and within the context of the article, the Department of Energy, who sits on ANSI's board, and they were sitting there between 2015 and 2021, being controlled and manipulated by communist China. Every one of our federal agencies that sit as members on ANSI, and you have the FBI, CDC, NIH, USDA, FAA, Onward, DOT, all these, EPA, all of them have gotten their data taken by communist China. We pulled some information concerning laboratory failures, and we found a good one because in 2017, while Zhao Jinwu, who was the chairman of the International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware, at the same time, he was the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, issuing in Wuhan, China in 2017, a laboratory accreditation for ISO 17025. Now, mind you, that the laboratory in Wuhan was warned about fooling around with the COVID or coronavirus. We pulled a little bit more information, and we had a Miss Pamela Sale under deposition. I'm just going to add this into her verbiage. This is not truly in it, but I have to add it because it calls for bio-level 4 lab, phlebotomy labs, etc. It's the same, and it's not just for this country, it's worldwide and pervasive. So here she is, and this is what Pamela said. One of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs, bio-level 4 labs, or phlebotomy labs around the country or world have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. And when it comes to voluntary consensus, standards have failed since standards are meant to be uniform throughout particular industry, laboratory, automotive, aerospace, electronics, medical service industries, but they are not. As Ms. Sales illustrated in her deposition, they are not. We also bring on a Mr. Charles Lieber, the head of the chemistry department of Harvard University. He is a specialist in nanotechnology, both biological and electronic. In 2019, when the COVID virus started to come to America, the FBI scooted up. The FBI also sits on ANSI's board, and they too were controlled and manipulated by communist China. Here is Charles Lieber's talent plan contract with China. For those people who don't know what a talent plan contract is, China goes around to universities and picks out the heads of the departments and everything else, the intellectuals in those universities, to utilize their specialties far beyond those of mortal men, so to speak. Well, they utilized him because he's a nanotechnological specialist in both biological and electronics. He's gotten different awards from the IEEE and NIH, which also sit on ANSI. You have Mr. Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, who asked Anthony Fauci, NIH, about gain-of-function research. Now, we found articles about Fauci giving the Wuhan lab of $3.8 million, and you keep on going, you definitely find out that he definitely knew about gain-of-function because this is the second annual workshop with the United States and China in Wuhan, China, between May 17th and 19th, 2017. And the first order of business is gain of function. If you read this, you'll find out that they were already prepping for a worldwide pandemic. I'm going to leave it here. As I said, the crux of the data, the best data is down below with the articles and what have you for proof of my validity and my truthfulness, because it is integrity, honesty, and the truth at the end of the day. It's not what the Department of Energy said, what is it, several years later, and they said, oh yes, it did escape from the lab. Well, we were telling you that a long time ago. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, Daryl, TQRS @yahoo.com. I thank you. And again, this video, it had to be Wu. Daryl Guberman, QA expert, explains.